Two guys talking about the good old days. Half of it's truth, the rest's a haze. If it bombed back then, it kills right now. Yeah, memories funny like that somehow. Names get dropped, stories grow tall. Every set was a murder, no bombs at all. The stand-up memories, take it as you please. Where the past gets better with every tell and tease. Welcome to Stand-Up Memories.
Stand-up memories. Yes. Woo! I'm Peter Bales, Jackie the Joke Man, Martling.
Keep your hands inside.
And a great guest. Wow, somebody I used to work with back in the day, a terrific comedian.
Everybody says that back in the day. What day are they talking about?
1980s. 1980s.
Today.
But everybody says the day.
The 1980s.
Wow.
This is the legendary Wid.
Wow.
And what a comedian. And I'm trying to describe his act.
But
his
the most important question was, did you call yourself the legendary Wid and then act into it? Or did you act like a madman and get bestowed with that name?
I actually got bestowed with that name because when it was just Wid, okay, a lot of people thought it was like a dish detergent or some sort of, and I looked it up, and WID is Women in Distress.
Oh.
So it was a battered woman sort of site at one time. So I was the thing.
But what is the significance of Wid? Was that a nickname as a kid?
That was given to me by the California police when I was hitchhiking in Needles. And I couldn't get a ride for 4 days. I was like 20, 21. And they said, okay, I never had ID or anything like that. So they gave me, all right, you're without ID. And I says, oh, I'm Wid. And then that
Is
stuck
that
with it.
true?
Like Tony.
Yes.
What a story without ID.
Yeah.
How do we know? You never told
What a
anybody
great,
that.
I never knew that.
I burned my draft card when I got it, and I did all sorts of stuff like that.
Do
And
you
I tried to always live
what
under the
we
rainbow.
bring you? Do you see what we bring you? Stuff that nobody knows.
That's how the legendary Wid got his name.
Yeah, it was hitchhiking. I did a lot of things hitchhiking. I went to Jack Benny's funeral when I was hitchhiking.
You went to Jack Benny's
I
funeral.
went to Jack Benny's funeral. I
The
hitchhiked.
car just happened to be passing by. And
No, it was. I was in Las Vegas, and I was hitchhiking and sleeping in bushes, and I read that Jack Benny died. And who did? I'm 20 years old. I know Jack Benny's the greatest guy ever.
I got the line. So how much was the cover charge for Jack Benny's?
It was very cheap, like he was. No.
did you actually go?
I went. I hitchhiked there. It was at
Thousands of people.
thousands of people were there. Okay. But I snuck in to where the mausoleum was. Okay. It was inside. And I snuck in there, me and this hippie guy. And we got up to like all the way to the top of this place. And you could look down and you could see the funeral going on with the family. Okay. So I was up there and I didn't, so we're being quiet and everything. The rabbi comes in because it was the Jewish cemetery started by Al Jolson, and he couldn't get buried in Forest Lawn. And so he started his own. So Jack Benny was there. And I'm looking down like this, and I'm hearing the rabbi going, I don't know what he's saying, but he's saying, and it all dies down, right? And so I come down this like little spiral and there I am alone with Jack Benny's casket right in front of me with flowers all over it. He got buried right next to.
But where was everybody else? Like you were behind the flowers, they couldn't see
I
you?
snuck into the building where only the family was allowed. And I waited until, to see what happens. And
so were there heavy hitter comedians there, or no? It's just the family?
Cary Grant was there.
Cary Grant was there.
And George Burns. And,
anybody famous is what I'm asking.
Okay, very.
Jeez.
I think Rochester, really? No, Rochester was.
I was going to ask you, would Rochester be allowed into the funeral at that point?
I think so, because it was
Yes.
a pretty.
Las Vegas was pretty horrendous for a long time.
But the West Coast, that was my first time really on the West Coast. And there was a lot
So you were
of
very
weirdos.
young. You're in your 20s then, very early 20s?
When I was 21, I lived, most of my life in Cranford, New Jersey, a beautiful, bedroom community, all that stuff. And so I never went anywhere. So I hitchhiked out to Arizona.
You could do that in those days.
Yes.
I
without-
hitchhiked around too, but people can't believe it nowadays.
As soon as I got, all the way across, sometimes you were, but as soon as you got to California, guys would preposition you, hey, I'll buy you a beer in the BJ. Come on, I mean, that was, my friend.
But in those days, you could put your thumb out and get a ride with a trucker for like 3 states, right?
I got it all across Texas, and that's almost equal to 3
The
states.
farthest I ever hitchhiked was to Montauk out on the end of the. That's significant. You couldn't do that today.
Yeah, but it's a Long Island,
It's
so
a
that
long-
kind of counts a little bit.
Let
more.
me just tell. There are a lot of comedians watch our podcast. This guy, Google him. Check him out online. The legendary Wid is not just any comedian. He's unique, and
He comes on
people-
stage
Yeah.
with literally a yard sale, sale full of. There's no other way to say it, full. Just all this. I'm going to say crap because I shouldn't say shit. This random stuff and just picks up something, makes a joke about it, and some of these props are huge. And he used them for like a 3-word joke, and he's just a madman. And the last time I worked with him, he's opening and I'm headlining, and you got to go out and dance among all this crap. It's just so fun.
The legendary Wid is proof positive that prop comedy can work.
Prop comedy is, I started as a natural because I owned an antique store in New Brunswick, right on Church Street where the Stress Factory is, and that guy won't hire me. And, but I was always a flea market guy. I was always, I collected books. And
so when you
records
worked at the flea market, were you making jokes about the different stuff?
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially when
from the beginning. From
the beginning, I had the props placed all over my store that I would just do this and,
your go-to.
and tell them a joke, because in New Brunswick, you either got people from the ghetto or people from Princeton. Okay. So you had or students, which were worse than both of them. But,
So the whole gamut, and Wid's jokes, I mean, they're puns that he really needs to be punched, but you can't punch him because you can't wait to hear the next one.
Now, I got to say
my
this.
introduction to him, the first time I worked at the Comedy Works in Philadelphia, I'm sure it's not there anymore, but this
Chestnut
is way
Street.
back. Yeah, 1979. And I walked up, and Wid used to work the lines. Now, I don't know if I never asked if you got paid or anything. All I know is somebody said, "Oh, that's Wid." And I walked up, and he just as I walked up to him, he walked up to a guy who was wearing a Bruce Springsteen pin.
Okay.
And Wid said, "Oh, it's a Born to Run Again Christian." I have never forgotten.
Great
that.
line.
I have never forgotten that. I don't know if that was off the top of your head or something that you have been using for 40 years, and I didn't care.
I used to open for Wid in the 80s. Couldn't follow him. There's so much. The stage is strewn with stuff that he picks up for a couple seconds and makes a joke about. It's your mind. Every show's different. I can't. Nothing the same.
Yeah, I
Wonderful.
bombed bad after I followed him because everything he does is a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I do fast jokes, and they can't handle 35 seconds of having to wait for something.
Well, I was actually born with short attention span, so it's kind of easy for me to identify with my own jokes because a lot of times when I hear monologists and stuff, I said, "That's not true. He didn't do that." You kind of know. Like I love when you real young guys talk about how much experience they had with women or with anything. They go, "Oh," and they sound like they're troopers, but they're really just party poopers.
You are a
wet
madman.
behind the ears.
A madman going crazy up there on stage. It's exhausting to watch, fun to watch. You get your money's worth, that's for sure. And I worked with you in the 80s, and you might remember this show because something unique happened. I told Jackie.
You got some laughs?
I got a couple laughs. No, here's what happened. You did your show, and it was a great success. Everybody loved you, but then you came backstage, and I remember you saying this. Damn, I chipped my tooth. You were picking up stuff so fast that you actually, does that stick in your mind that night? That's how crazy this guy is on stage. He was throwing so much stuff around, he chipped his tooth. And
do you believe Bales fell for the old "I chipped my tooth"?
No.
Well, I would remember. I would say I remembered it, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. No,
Oh!
no, I'm sorry.
There is
But
proof in pudding.
No,
That's
but-
proof in the pudding, right there.
But I haven't been injured that much. I mean, it must be, God looks over drunks and prop comedians and guitar acts.
They better, right?
Well, who gets injured doing stand-up? Have you ever been injured doing stand-up? Physically?
The closest I came to getting injured was I had now I have all fake teeth, but I had this one cap, and sometimes it'd come off, and I was on stage at Rascals.
Okay.
Sold out, 450 people, and I am killing. And the people right in the table, this is in the early days when I picked on people. And the table, there were long tables there, like banquet tables. And these people sitting right in front of me, and I'm hammering them and having a great time. And all of a sudden, my false tooth flies out of my mouth.
Ouch.
And lands right in front of the guy who I'd been climbing up his ass for a half an hour. And all that guy would have had to do was go like that and smash my tooth. Because
$1,000. Yeah.
But I just looked at him and leaned over, took the tooth, and put it back in. And my heart still races thinking about it. And then Tony Camacho. Tony
Camacho was
the longest tongue in the business.
Tony,
Yeah.
well, he has a black guy with a tongue like this, not the swiftest
he's
elevator.
a big fan of the show.
But he's
Great
I always
guy.
loved. Always got along great.
No,
with him.
let's
But
explain.
he came up on stage and said, "Check, look." He went to hand me super glue, crazy glue.
Okay.
I said,
All right.
"What are you in there? I'm not putting that in my mouth. Are you?"
Tony Camacho was an African-American at
He probably
Rascals
still
Comedy
is.
Club.
He probably still is.
And we used to actually call him up to the stage to stick his tongue out, and the whole
He
audience,
was, yes,
the whole
he-
audience would go, "Ooh!"
And that was the longest prop that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was an amazing.
It
time.
wasn't just long. It was like a big, like an oversized hamburger.
It was a beaver tail.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my
It
goodness.
was a beauty.
But
So,
I remember.
I don't know how we segued into Tony Tongue's tongue,
You brought it up.
but that was,
Rascals had a place down the shore.
Yep.
Right. And Neptune. And they lost their restaurant guy. The guy went away. And I told him, because I was in the antique, I said, why don't you hang stuff all over the wall?
was that, and they did that.
They did
They
that.
did that, and they got out of the business, and now they're in the folk art business, and the whole thing.
And you inspired them.
I bought the stuff,
Because I know it was a restaurant, and then you don't work there for a couple months or 3 or 4 months, then you go back in, and it's like
Yep.
it's an antique store.
It was called the White Elephant, okay, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, you could drink and look through records at the same time. It was.
And Ward would say, "I don't care what you do. I'm just going to go bang another waitress."
Thank you for sharing these.
Because that's his job. Okay.
These are comedy stories that really should stay forgotten.
Never
So-
forgotten.
So, to the comedians out there, most comedians have an order in their act. You are totally freeform. Is there any more freeform comedy than you? I don't think so.
I try to be different with the boxes. I put them in a different order sometime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I tell this basically the same jokes every show, even though I got hours and hours and hours and hours. I know what I'm going to do before I go up there, and I can vary from it. When you're up there, are there certain things that you go to first and go to in the middle and save for the end, or are you just totally at random?
My act is like sex. I try to maintain it as long as I can, and then towards the end, I get exciting. Okay, where I know things are
Yeah,
going to
but
work.
you go a lot longer than 2 minutes in your show.
Speak for ourselves.
I take a bow for that. Yes, no, but it's something that you can't kind of hold off on your best stuff when you're going good.
Yeah.
if you're going,
If you need to, you go
jump
for it.
into that.
The Legendary Wid, so many great shows. But I always ask comedians this. Do you remember times when maybe the owner of the club or they were kind of taken aback and they didn't get it?
A couple of times, but most of them,
most of the shows are great. I've seen them, but
but you know what? It's always logistics. It's always like, oh, you're hiring a prop con. I'm going to tell you, the prejudice is out there against prop comics, but I didn't care because when I first started out, they said, don't do puns and don't do props. Okay. And a lot of people said it. And being a rebel, I said, I'm going to even do it more.
You know what they told me? They said, don't tell jokes and don't laugh at yourself.
And that's exactly.
You know what they told me?
What?
Don't suck. I can't even get my punchlines.
It's something I was born with, because I went junk picking when I was, we lived in a nice bedroom community and stuff. We had 7 kids in the family, and so we didn't have any money. But when we went junk picking back then, we would find, the greatest things in the world, records and books and, things that toys and
that's how you met your wife.
Yeah, exactly. She was it was pickup day.
Don't do props. Don't tell jokes.
Yeah.
Don't laugh. The bottom line
Don't
is
laugh.
look at there. Are they laughing? That's all that matters. If the crowd is laughing,
that is all that
job.
matters. Comedy has rules, but rules are made to be broken. And the Legendary Wid is proof.
I tried to break the rules. I didn't know about I didn't know about other prop comedians. I said Rip Taylor. I got to say that I knew him, but I didn't know that that there was other guys. I mean, right here on Long Island. Okay, we had Lenny Schultz, and when I first saw him, I said, well, I can't be that crazy. Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean that's
and Sharon,
that's quite a yardstick.
We were on. They made us a team, me and Lenny, on Make Me Laugh, because we were on so many times that they said, okay, you guys, you're a team. You're the fantastic team.
Okay, that's an old TV show. Google it if you're young out there.
Yeah.
Make Me Laugh.
Now, somebody would sit in a chair and then whatever comic or comics, was it a minute or 2 minutes?
They gave you a minute. Yes. They gave you a minute to make somebody laugh. And it had to be like a reaction laugh.
Audible. Yeah. Jesus, what a crazy show.
Because it was pretty easy for me because I had the props, right? That was one thing I had the advantage of. And because a lot of, being monologists had to set themselves up or do something like that. And I was just short attention span.
Lenny was, he lasted he only died like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Lenny Schultz, known as the Bionic Chicken. Google him. This show is made for Googling. Terrific comedian. And again, crazy.
Go crazy, Lenny.
Lenny.
Go crazy, Lenny. Okay.
My first introduction to him,
more pigs.
I was a Catch a Rising Star in the front bar. And this guy, Lenny Schultz, went up on stage. And at some point, some guy came running through the velvet curtain into the bar, like screaming, like his stomach hurt and he couldn't laugh anymore. It was I've never seen that visceral reaction to anything ever. Like, he wasn't running to look for a place to throw up. He just couldn't take how funny with the marching clits
he had such commitment to what he did. He was an athlete. I mean, he spent his life physical ed teacher. And he was an athlete when he did it, and you could see him,
Yeah.
sweating and just
veins
going
in his
for it.
neck.
Oh,
I
my God.
have-
It was that commitment made,
I have a Lenny Schultz story that may or may not be true, but it was presented to me as true. New Year's Eve, somehow he got booked at a North Shore, Long Island, snobby beyond belief, country club for the New Year's Eve show. They introduce him. He walks out, and right down front, there's a rich, snooty lady who's drunk and loud. He walked right up to her, leaned over her, and said, "Sit down, shut up, or I'll rip your tits off." That was his opening line. And two big guys from the back of the room start walking toward him to like beat him up or something. He sees them coming. He turns around, walks off stage, out the door, into the parking lot, into his car, and left. That was his New Year's Eve performance. Lenny Schultz, the Bionic Chicken.
That's,
He was married to this woman, Helen, when I first met him. And she would come, and she was, his roadie, helped him with his stuff. And he used to have his cassettes. He put in the cassettes to play. But then they got divorced, or she died, and then he wound up with Sharon. So Sharon's this young, beautiful girl, and this is his girlfriend now. And he's working for me at Governor's, and the sound booth is up above, and he kills. So I come up on stage and say, "Oh, fantastic. Who wants to see a little bit more Lenny? A little bit more Lenny?" And everybody, yeah. And so he's thinking about what he wants to do next. And he turns and he goes, to me, he goes, "I forgot my fucking girlfriend's name. She's going to cut my balls off." I swear to God.
He forgot his girlfriend's name?
She was brand new to it,
it was her babysitter.
Oh my God. I would
Lovely
love to meet
girl,
somebody
lovely
who was
woman.
in the audience, and she's still around. Sharon's a terrific girl. She's on Facebook and all that stuff,
So Wid, tell me about the greatest time you ever had on stage. Where do you love doing comedy the most?
And the greatest time I had was when I was at, the Comedy Works, because it had a little stage, but it had a little backstage and just a door.
Right.
Okay. And so I could keep all my stuff off of that and then do a couple, a couple stand-up jokes, and then go into bringing one out at a time. And then it just peaked out like that. So, and, it was exciting when you're first doing it to work with professionals like yourselves. And,
I just thought about that club. Me and my girlfriend, for whatever reason, have been watching every James Bond movie. And we were watching one with belly dancers. And I told her, there was a club we used to work in Philadelphia where the showcase room was the top floor. And if you had to take a leak, you have to go down the backstage and walk through the Middle Eastern restaurant and walk past the belly dancers.
Right past the belly dancers.
It was just...
The movie you were watching was probably Goldfinger.
No, it was Octopussy, because that had the belly dancers.
Well, they had belly dancers in the opening sequence for Goldfinger.
They're naked girls everywhere. I watch with the sound
We
off.
used to call them abdominal showmen, okay? Because shaky business, that thing.
They're so sexy. My God.
And I, at one time, the belly dancers had their own little room on like the 5th floor.
I never got that involved over there. Really?
Yeah. I worked there 11 years. So, they had a little, so when I got kicked out of the, relationship I had with, somebody who didn't like my stuff. And then I had to sleep. So they put me up and I slept in the belly dancer room.
Is that true?
It smelled of, sweat and bad perfume. Okay. It was like a Journey song. Okay?
So that's two of the three I would have imagined.
Yeah. You got kicked out of a relationship and they let you sleep at the club?
They were my friends. They're still my friends.
Steve Young.
The Tyunes who own the Middle East Club.
Okay.
I'm in a band with those guys now.
Tell us about your band.
It's called the Roddenberries. Okay.
It's not named after Gene Roddenberry.
It's named after Gene Roddenberry,
Wow.
spelled different.
Okay.
But we do parodies of Star Trek songs that, like Devil in a Blue Shirt. Okay. And they do Prince songs and things but everything is Star Trek centric. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan, but they let this old guy sing because all comedians want to be singers. Okay?
Yeah, you actually have musical talent.
Every drummer wants to be the lead singer, and every singer wants to be a comedian. Every comedian wants to be a guitar player.
We always want something on the other, what the Joneses have. But I'm a tenor with bass habits. Okay, that's, you got to be a little. No, but
so do you play? How often?
We play pretty much. We played the convention at at Las Vegas, and the 60th one is coming up. And I'm sort of I'm a
like
straight
the NAA. Which
I forget. It's the Las Vegas convention they have every year.
A Star Trek convention.
Yeah, the Star Trek.
Who's left Shatner? He's alive?
Like Data
Sulu.
and all these, from the past one. From the first one, Shatner is still
Shatner and George.
Did you see his new commercials? Oh man! But it's something when you sing and you tell jokes, you get immediate gratification. But when you sing, it takes them like 2 minutes to tell them you suck. Okay, but
that's so weird because
you went the opposite
right.
way.
I got out of music and I'm doing comedy, and I finally decided I wanted to do a one-man show. And you used to, especially my, joke, boom, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there at Bolton Center in my chair and I'm playing a song, and it's been quiet for 2 minutes. But my whole life, that's what I lived for, was to get an audience to shut up so I could play my song. And here I got flop sweat. You feel like you're bombing because there's no reaction,
But they were listening and enjoying it.
It's the craziness of it.
Jackie cracks me up to this day. When I think of it, it's so funny. He was in a 3-person group, and 2 of the guys said to him, "We're not kicking you out, but the 2 of us are going to go in a different direction."
No, they were not that polite. We're a 3-man band, and they said, "Jackie, we're leaving the band and we're going to start our own band." And I said, "I'm not a rocket scientist, but if there's 3 guys in a band and 2 of them leave to start their own band, that's kicking me out of the band."
That's the new math. That's the new math.
Such a heartbreak, but it's so true. Wow.
I had to fight for a long time, to be because these people are all talented musicians since they're little kids.
You didn't tell us, are you singing? Or are you playing?
I sing, yeah.
Oh, so you're the lead singer?
I sing Ricardo Montalban, Get It On, Wrath of Khan. There's my big one is That Space, okay? Which is that's like, That Space.
So are you playing in Jersey and stuff like that?
We play at the convention in Philadelphia, and we're and
there's
Cherry
a lot
Hill
of
and
Star
stuff.
Trek conventions, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people. They're a different kind of fan because these people have jobs and money. Okay, you know what I mean? And
by different kind of fan, I thought
they're coming across, autographs and
really. I mean, by different kind of fan, I thought you meant like nuts.
They're not.
Some more than
some
others.
are, but it's almost like their alternate personality.
Because there are brilliant people that are 150% into that.
I mean, a lot of them are like librarians, clerks, people who work in banks or work in cubicles and things like that.
I love Star Trek. Do you go into The Next Generation or any of the other shows with your music?
Well, we cover every one of them. Okay. I'm mostly, old fashioned, things from the original, and but I also enjoy doing songs with karaoke that I know already, and then it's like rehearsing every time you do it. Like Bang a Gong, I can sing Bang a Gong pretty well from karaoke. So, you just change it to Ricardo Montalban, Get It On,
Wrath of Khan.
And had the whole audience go, Khan.
How can you work the term tribble into a song?
Oh, we got tribble right here. No,
that's perfect.
That's
perfect. The Trouble with Tribbles, one of the classic.
There's, the tribbles. I sell starter kits. Okay, there's like those little fuzzy balls.
I'm joking, and he's got all this going.
A guy that I met like 20 or 25 years ago. He was experimenting with different things, and I guess sometimes by accident you're nice to somebody. I guess I met this guy and had him over to my apartment. We smoked a couple joints. I think I might even let him spend the night there, whatever. And then at some point he pitched, he just had this idea that he wanted to do a Star Trek documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought it was, maybe a good idea, maybe a bad idea. As it stands now, I think he's made 11 of them. Well, they just loved them, and the guy's swimming in it. And he said he almost didn't pitch it because, you never know what's going to fly.
What these people, it's a solid fan base and things like that. And I'm telling you, the people that I play with, they're the house band now for the entire conventions. And, it took a couple of years, but, I was the first one to sing a Star Trek song. At Christmas, I would sing Jingle Bell Spock, okay? And
I could see them all singing along with that.
Yeah. I mean, they go explore a new galaxy, and it's kind of, I would never do that when I'm telling jokes, but now I'm starting to sing within my act.
Big question.
I love it.
Yeah.
Big question. In your act now?
How is the band dressed?
Oh, they're dressed in. We have somebody who was big time in burlesque and like Rocky Horror and stuff like that. So you get like
So you're Star Trek decked out.
It's Star Trek decked out, but they make incredible costumes. Okay, and
so it's comfortable and
it's a whole ensemble. You got dancing girls, and they gave me dancing girls for
We got to see this.
We got to see this.
We got to see this.
All right, let's do our plugs here. Now tell us about...
Are we allowed to mention that what you're doing with your boy here?
Yeah. Hey, they're making a documentary on me, okay? And it's to show, from garbage picking to headlining to has-been, the entire,
so it's kind of
the entire trip.
Kind of behind the dumpster with Whit.
Behind the dumpster is a good one.
That's a great title, Behind the Dumpster.
But these guys are really serious. They haven't asked me for money, so I know it's legit, okay? And they've interviewed my family and friends and clubs I worked. I worked like the Laugh House for 10 years. I was the guy who ran the open mic night where a lot of the newer comedians they came from. And, it's kind of a crazy journey that I owe all to.
And you have met everybody
picking.
Because everybody came through that. I met you in like 1979, back when it was the Comedy Factory outlet and the Comedy Works and Bananas and Comedy Cabaret. And there was so many clubs.
They all started from the same, a focus group, okay? And then they all betrayed each other, okay?
And lots of
their own clubs.
Like Clay split out.
Lots of nameless one-nighters that we
great ones, great fun.
So the legendary WID, WID.
Thank you, guys.
No, well, let's where they can find you online. The legendary WID.
The legendary WID at gmail.com.
All right.
How about that? I was a technophobe, so I never had anything like that. And there's the legendary WID on Facebook, okay? And
I always tell our audience they can find me on MySpace, which is a bit old-fashioned. But and the Roddenberries, how do people find more about the Roddenberries?
Roddenberries.com.
All right.
It's out there, and I'm in a couple of the videos, and
that's cool.
Now, have you cashed in by like making a CD of the music?
I will never cash in. Okay, I'm an artist. No,
there you go.
No, I want to cash out. That's what I.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Thank you for asking. it's more fun for me, and I don't think anybody's making any big time
Yeah, and it's
money.
not necessary, but
So we
Yeah.
have big things to plug here. This is Paradise Studios in Massapequa. Hey, listen, if you're on Long Island, you have any video needs, podcasting needs, this is a huge facility with all kinds of different studios. Paradise Studios to really get your video and podcast going. This is the place. And we are on Strong Island Television. That is the podcast network that goes along with Paradise Studios. And I want to plug something really cool. Long Island Podcasting School right here at Paradise Studios. If you want to get started and try your own podcast, and if we can do it, you can do it.
we can do it. You can do it.
Yeah, go for it. And this is the place to learn the basics and hit the ground running with your podcast. It's called the Long Island Podcasting School. And now I'm setting up Jackie for a big plug. He's got a big show coming up at another legendary thing.
Legendary.
Not you.
Yeah, I'm working at Rodney's, which
That's what I hear.
it used to be Dangerfield's for 40 years. And the guy who bought it, I ran into him a couple different of these comedy, whatever. And every time he'd offer me a little bit more. I said, no. And finally he said, all right, what do I got to pay you? So I'm working there Saturday night, May 23rd, with my friend Rich Harkaway, who has a lot of people in the city that have wanted to see him for a long time. And I'm kind of excited about it.
Rodney's.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it does, but supposedly it's doing really well.
But you weren't going to do it for a while, and he threw in a free cheeseburger, and the deal was made.
All it took. That's all it took.
The
May
drummer
23rd.
there used to love me because I took so much stuff that he got the night off. The drummer didn't have to play. So he was always happy to see me at Rod.
And one final plug, one big plug, the most important plug, standupuniversity.com.
Uh-oh.
Stand-up comedy. You want to start out, or you've been doing comedy, you want to get 7 new minutes, standupuniversity.com right here on Long Island at the Brokerage Comedy Club.
Every 8 weeks, he gets a brand new batch of people who want to be comedians.
We've been doing it for 27 years. So
And it's called Comedy University?
Stand-up university.
Stand-up
And it's
university.
Stand-up university.
They have one in Philly, Comedy College. Okay. And, I like yours a lot better.
Oh,
Okay.
well, thank you. And thank you. You are terrific.
He's a wonderful man.
A wonderful
I'm trying
guy.
it out. Thanks, guys.
Long before there was such thing as there wasn't much comedy on the radio, and there were no such thing as podcasting or anything like that. And it was after, we'd all get together after a show, like at the Comedy Factory Outlet and Comedy Works. And we all wound up at Barney Weiss's apartment. And we're sitting around telling these incredible stories. And I'll never forget, you leaped up. We'd leaped to his feet and said, this is it. This is the show. This is the show. And to this day, it has never been captured. The green room shows and all those, it's just never the same as it is when we're all sitting around loosely shooting the shit,
It was a shared experience, and we didn't have that many outlets we had to pay attention to each other. We didn't look at our phones.
In many ways, that's what we're trying to do here with this podcast.
Final thing, I've been doing a lot of these lately. Cameo.com/Jackie Martling. 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of jokes, insults, hello, happy birthdays. I've been doing a lot of them, and
I'm going to have to get one for my brother because he loves you.
well, I love your brother.
All right. This has been Stand Up Memories. Jackie the Joke Man Martling. I'm Peter Bales. And super thanks to a terrific comedian who is
An
still
old pal
and
from
still
way
and
back.
still going strong.
And watch out for my documentary. It's the story of my life. Documentary, and that's at Trainwreck Productions.
All right.
Is that right?
That's right.
And we will have Wid back on here to promote his train.
Absolutely. We'll have
Thank you, guys.
clips and stuff. And we'll see you next time on Stand Up Memories.
Okay.